in TatukGIS Benelux. It was very blessed for me to hear that it was possible to give a small presentation of TatukGIS products, and actually in special the TatukGIS Editor. Subtitle an octopus, because I'm going to show you some things about how the tentacles of the editor actually explores other data and comes into different kind of customers. So what do? We do actually this. We do anything. I found this nice picture, and I just put some text around the picture, like we are calling, or people call us for support. We do training. We do implementations, maintenance, migration of data, across the legs, as you can see, so it goes from one point to another. We have a laptop, so we do development, and then we do much more, actually. So this is about what we do. Our business, we do not have really specific markets we target on, but if we look at the specialisms, we have me and a colleague of mine sitting there in the middle of the room, and have more than 15-16 years of experience in GIS. And my experience is more in the utility market, and I'm now working on the new application which you see on the left for city heating in this case, completely as modules, as an add-on application on the standard product. What shall we show here? We are going to show something about migration processes, how you can migrate data from one point to another format, because still a lot of customers have many files and data files and geo files, etc. And some kind of managers then going to say, okay, we have to go into one system, like Oracle Spatial or SQL Server Spatial. But the guy says, I have an Excel document, I have an Access database. So what can we do with it? We are going to look a little bit to the styling, some scripting, the open source support, because we are here on an open source event. What do we handle and what can we show and do with it? And where does the editor fit in the TatukGIS suite? Small to go of TatukGIS is a Polish company. We started somewhere around 99. They started actually with development kits. Their goal was actually make GIS more accessible. There were products on the market, MapWindow, Intergraph, Bentley, Small World, SY, all these big companies. You needed the higher education, you had to pay a lot of license fees for all these, and they were for highly educated people knowing and understanding GIS. So they said, we want to make it more accessible, and we want to make some platforms available where everybody can develop their own GIS solution. So they made a lot of development kits for different languages, Delphi, C++, .NET, and in .NET we have two variants, C#, Visual Basic, and they have an ActiveX development kit, and even a web server which is ASP based. All these products are based on the same API, actually. And an additional result, because I started in 2007, 2008 with TatukGIS stuff, they at that moment had Editor 1, which was actually nice, but not really useful. And it's actually an own product of TatukGIS based on the underlying development kit, which I will show you here. Hey, so this one, and there's one block which should be viewer on top of it. This laser red? Yes, the top. Actually, I have blocking the viewer, which is a free product. For some reason now, it suddenly shows me the second product with this TatukGIS Editor. You see a small block AIC in it, which is an aerial imagery corrector. We can correct TIFF files flown by some companies, and they're not georeferenced, they're not north-oriented, so we have to rotate and scale the maps so they fit in the correct data. It was a separate product, but now, since version 4, actually released a few weeks ago, it's completely embedded in the editor. Now I'll show the view. It is a licensed product, but if we look at the prices of licenses, we have actually two main groups. We have the highly priced products, which I already mentioned, like small banding, MapInfo, Intergraph. All these start with 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 euros of licenses. And some of the products, for example, small, you pay really a lot of money, and you can actually do almost nothing, because you first have to build up your own application. And on the other hand, we have, of course, the open source, which is on the zero level, free products, etc. If you look at the TatukGIS Editor, it has quite a lot of functionality, comparable sometimes with Azure products or Babel products. But on the other hand, it's very lowly priced. It's just above the zero line. So it's an interesting combination if you want to place it somewhere in the price, functionality, or quantity line. It's difficult to position. As I said earlier, the TatukGIS Editor is built on top of a development kit, the DK VCL. VCL is actually the Delphi component. And what you get is, if you buy it as an end customer, mainly ICT companies developing their own GIS solution, you get the source code with it. So you can't even change the original components from TatukGIS. So in that sense, it's almost like open source. Then you have a number of other development kits. The development kit for .NET, ActiveX, they have an internet server, ASP-based. So you need IIS, Microsoft in that case. And they have a DK compact framework, which is now a question of what's the future of it, because of all the changes. They had the Android revolution, we have the Apple iOS, and nowadays we are waiting, probably a lot of people are waiting for what's going to happen with Windows 8. It's a new platform, new technology, so what's going to happen with the compact frame? The market is very small for that, so possibly it's going to disappear in the future. All these products are again licensed, but the nice thing for companies developing software, it is royalty free, so they can write a solution, and TatukGIS doesn't charge you for anything. You can do whatever you want with it. And at the end we have also a DK Enterprise, which is for making connections to spatial databases. That's not by default embedded in the development kits. The nice thing, however, is, and that's the reason why we mainly focus on the editor, is that the editor and the viewer products have the support for spatial databases already built in. And also the internet server. That's the reason why I placed the block only to the .NET, ActiveX, and the VCL component, because they're nothing to build in for spatial databases. And then you have to think of Microsoft SQL Server Spatial, Oracle Spatial, these kind of databases. I think even Postgres is not by default supported, so you need the enterprise solution. This is some typical setup in a company where there's a goal for us to have a company like this, have all kinds of products of TatukGIS. Actually, I haven't seen a company having such setup yet, but it shows you what you can do with it. We have a development kit solution on the top left, and probably with an enterprise, DK Enterprise for spatial database. If the repository would be more spatial, which is a very popular format in the Netherlands at municipals. On the other hand, we have a viewer, people can use it. It's actually quite a popular product because it's free and you can do quite a lot of it, quite a lot with it. You can set up thematic maps, you can search for data, you can print, and it's all for free. You could say it's open source, but you don't get the source, so it's a freeware product. So there's a change, it's a difference between freeware and open source. So it's freeware. If we look at the editor in particular, then it's quite a multifunctional tool. It's not a tool for asset management only, but we also use it as a batch processor for doing all kinds of geographical tasks at night, for example. You can start up the editor with a certain kind of a script, and that's going to do something. For example, you could split up the whole database or do some check of intersections on lines and these kind of tools. Probably we're going to use it for municipals because they are now in a big move from vector lines to vector polygons at this moment. And furthermore, it's a programmable and a customizable GIS application. And you can customize it in such a way that it's difficult to recognize whether it is still a standard editor underneath it or that it's a solution built on the development kit. Here's an example of the editor, which has a number of modules docked in it. We have the counter for the WMS server. Many of them are free, but some of them are paid services. So if a customer connects to a WMS server, then it will count the number of queries sent to the server. So the customer has an overview of the costs of using that service. We can change the menu bar, we can change even the icon on the left top of the application, so we can really hide that it is something of TatukGIS. It looks like we built it. You actually use it and customize it. And here we have an example of, it's also a script, but now with a small GIS in the Netherlands for click applications, showing all kinds of cables and trenches and pipes in the ground. If a customer wants to dig in the ground, they get a lot of files from the cadastre, and all these files are actually mixed up, also combined with an XML file. And the not so nice thing for customers is that all the PNG files they get are not georeferenced. The georeferenced information is inside the delivered XML file, so we had to extract the information, and then we are still able to present it nicely in the application, in the mini application, or even in the normal editor application. Yeah, the question is the editor closed or open? How open is it? We can actually, it is a closed software package, so you cannot change the executable. You get an executable with a number of DLLs for example, linking to Oracle databases. So you cannot directly change the executable or recompile the executable or whatever. But what we can change is the menu bar, the toolbar, the pop-up menus. We can even change the standard behavior of the legend or the map. We can add modules to it. We can dock the modules. We can start it up in a certain way so it behaves like a different kind of application. So in many cases we can customize and change the editor. So if we look at how open is it, yeah, for us we get also more and more experience and more inside the editor now. For us it's a very open application. It's just that you have something which is fixed and then you change it from all the slides and then you have another kind of application. An example here for the city meeting, all the menu bars choices are integrated in such a way that you think you developed it in an IDE from Delphi or Microsoft Visual Studio, but it isn't. If we look at the open source formats, it supports a lot of the OGC. Actually, KML, GML, XML, oh yeah, XML can be in so many forms. We have spatial indexing based on the R tree. We have the WKB and the KT storages. PostGIS is for OpenGIS, WMS, WFS, Web, MapTime Server, the TMS, actually that's shown here. And the interesting thing is we can also create our own map tiles in the editor that is built in a thing called Pixel Store. So we can translate actually TIFF files into a database, so it's then tiled into the database, and that increases the performance with 10 to 20 times, and it uses much less memory than you would have had 10 TIFF files of 100 megabytes in the project. CityGML will come probably this year. We expect it somewhere in October or November this year, and that makes it very nice because then you have the 3D visualization of city. And what else? The OSM format, all the street maps. We can download the vector data from the website and use it, but we can also use the map tile server directly on the internet. Simple features SQL GDAL support 191. Actually, I got this from the internet yesterday because they just released a new version, and this catched my eye. I thought, okay, it's nice. Some new things are in there. I must say that I don't actually know what's actually new in this one. SQLite with spatial indexing using the R3 is supported. I like SQLite because it gives you small, nice databases instead of having a shapefile which can end up in TatukGIS with 11 files for one layer. In SQLite I have one database and configuration for the map. R3 is inside the database, so it's not separate from. Even the R3 is used for shapefiles in TatukGIS, so they add, and I think in MapWindow is the same, using spatial index I saw. So they create an extra file for the index. Well, all the things I don't mention because it's a long list. If you want to see it, tomorrow we give a demo here, so we can have a look. Since version 2, we also have the coordinate systems and the projections. There were some problems in the beginning because of all kinds of calculations and reprojection on the fly with all kinds of data. Sometimes it was shifted a little bit in the Netherlands with 1 or 2 meters because we have a special kind of projection here in the Netherlands. But it now uses the whole EPSG coding of the OGC. Well, if we look at migrating data, we can do this. Actually, I wanted to make it like a spider and move a picture, but it was too much work for me now. So if we look at all the formats, on the right I have all kinds of file formats, and on the left I have some databases. And it's just some of them because this list goes up to 50 or so. And that list goes up to 50. I don't know, it just depends on how much you have. But we can do many things. We can read it in and export it into another file, etc., etc. And for municipals, we work like this. They have a lot of DGM files, DXF files, DWG files, shape files, Excel files, Excel databases. It's incredible what they have. But somebody has it. Here you don't see an error because you cannot write a DGM file. It's a proprietary format from my station. So that's a bit of at least we can read it and export it in something else. Well, if we look at the previous slide, it's actually the standard importing and exporting functionality in the end, but it's not enough. It's something like FME. FME is the most advanced tool for migrating data. You can set up data models and you can make it as complex as you want, but the question is it always necessary? If we look at customers, they say, we have FME. Okay, what do you want to do? I want to transform a shape into Oracle. Cool, just use this. Because FME is more expensive. And you need to set up something. And the editor is just a standard loading shapefile and export it into Oracle. It's one function. And if it's not possible directly, we can still write a script. So we can still have a small script. This is an example here. It's a script in Pascal in this case. And the editor uses the full 100% API of the development kit, which was underneath it. And then we can still say we create a new shape, we create a point, we transfer the data, and we have it in another format. Nowadays what we do is we have a lot of Dutch kind of standards like municipals. They have the Bach, the BGT, all kinds of formats they have, and data formats. It's not by default supported by the Polish company because they think, what is it? They don't support it, so we write it. And then we write simply a script for that and yeah, a new function. If we look at the styling, I must say that MapWindow styling is really fantastic. It's more than we have in TatukGIS yet, because we do not have gradient stylings, which I think is a big miss, especially if we look at gas networks, what we have, and we want to see the pressure drops in the gas network. It would be could have a gradient styling of a pipe from red into green, or the other way around, actually from green it goes bad into red. That's not possible yet. We have some tricks for that, but yeah, then we are again in a tricky side. It should be function actually. For the labeling, we can use the HTML labeling. It's here on the bottom. This line. And that gives a lot of extra functionality. This is a very simple example where we can extract parts of a string, or we can round numbers from, instead of 4 numbers behind the comma, we can say, okay, you just show 2 of them. It's a very powerful disadvantage now, we think, is that the user has to type it in manually. It should be nice if we would have a tool for it. So it's the next task for us. But for the rest, we can do a lot of things in large areas. We have here the pie chart, the bar charts, we have some raster set up, even a WMS server. We can say don't use it in the coloring confidence stuff, but do it in grayscale, for example. And lately, since version 3, we have also a 3D tab where we can show actually 2D data. We can simulate it as if it would have been 3D. And we can use also digital elevation models to put a picture on top of that model, and it will shape and form itself according to the landscape below. So it's only one menu, but it's a lot of functionality. And for example, I used to do this in a standard course in the editor, but for a normal user, it was so much that I split it up into a separate course in how to set up a map. And then we talked the whole day about this. Because we have here the tabs, but underneath it we have another row of tabs, and here we have tabs, and so on. So it's really a lot of functionality. But still, if that is not enough, we can still write a script. We can say, okay, if you paint a shape, then paint the shape in this way. Use this code. Then let the code decide, with kind of formulas behind it or whatever, how it actually should look on a map. And what we also have lately is the extended line symbology with something kind of coding, and they have some examples for that. We can use arrows. For example, we have the networks with dimensions. What's the distance between the edge of a building to the pipe? These kind of dimensions. I was always figuring out how I'm going to draw that. Now they have a simple symbol for that. They say the line should end with 2 arrows. So I don't need to write any software anymore. It's just putting a symbol on a line, and then I have my dimension. I just mentioned 3D. 3D, yeah, is now, I don't know if it's a hype or if it's really coming up, but everybody talks about it, so we do it as well. It's in there, actually. Since version 3, we're now on 4. Version 3 came out last year, and version 4 only about 2 months ago, We have 3D. We can use the Z values and the M values. The Z values is in the Netherlands from NAP, from actually sea level to the ground level, and the M values from ground level to the height of the building. And then we can make these kind of pictures. On the left, the picture is actually this one here. It's actually 2D data, which I simulate as being 3D. I give all the buildings, in this case, the same height. But I could say, if the building's area is bigger than 200 square meters, it is 10 meters high, and if it's just 50 square meters, it is 5 meters in height. I can manipulate it a little bit. The picture in the middle is real 3D data. They have a real digital elevation model and a raster below it, and I just shape, place the TIFF file on top of it, and I say to the TIFF file, look at the 0 level for the dam, and then it shapes itself like this. Also, the buildings are really 3D shape files. And finally, for the utility companies, we have here a building with inside the station, inside the building, also 3D. This is the surface, and underneath we have the pipes. And even below we can have -1, -2, whatever you would like. Flooding is also in there, so we have a flooding model. if the sea level raises. It's a linear floating model, so it's not really dependent on the surface, but it's linear, and then you can show some kind of effect. So if we look at the scripting, is it an octopus scripting as well? Yeah, it is. We have the editor. We can change the GUI. We can write a lot of database scripts. We can configure internal components. So the legend comes with the font size 10, but if it's too small, we change the font size in the standard legend to 12 or 14, so we can manipulate that. We can have custom painting. We can, of course, write normal modules. And an extra thing we have is the support for opening or using DLL files from Windows or another application. And right at this moment, we are checking if in the Netherlands we have Cyclomedia, if we can use their globe spotter DLL files into the script, so we can write a nice application for that. If the script is not holy, I mean, it cannot do anything you want. There is a limitation in that. But we stretch the boundaries quite well at this moment. But there are boundaries, and if it doesn't fit the script, we can use the development kit and write our own DLL with very specific functionality in DLL. Performance might be another reason. If you really want to have high performance, we prefer to do it in Delphi instead of in scripting. Some examples here. We have a script for very complicated spatial analysis. User can have multiple points to place on the map and do some analysis. We have really application on top of the editor. This is a mobile application. It's fully script. We have a new station editor, which can also show pictures. We have embedded here a list, a choice list, which is actually extracted from a database at the moment. Below we have a geocoding service, which is actually getting X and Y coordinates from a web server from GIS in this case. So there is communication between the web service and the user just enters data, clicks on the geocode, and it gets a point on the map. He doesn't know that there was actually communication with the server on the internet. Here we have a network tracing tool. Network tracing is not standard in TatukGIS. That's a pity for us. They have shortest path routines, but for utility companies, they want to know if there is a gap in the pipe, where are my faults, which I have to close. We now made a tool which is very fast. Actually, it's script, but it's very fast. About 100 times faster than we saw in Bentley, for example. You click on it at 0.1 seconds, so it's hard to measure actually. You need a very quick reaction in the thumb to measure the speed. And then finally we have something like a tool for splitting up layers, shape layers based on values in a certain field. So you can really split it up in certain ways. Just a few tools, but we have so many. If you want to see them all, or just some other interests, tomorrow we have a stand here, so you can have a look. So what's going to be the future? Well, the near future will probably give us CityGNL, probably this year. There will be more integration with Oracle BI, business intelligence, so we can use really functionality inside Oracle. Oracle textures. We support, for example, ArcSDE georasters, but they want to use Oracle textures. I haven't figured out what it really is, but we are going to support it. They're going to use FireMonkey. Right at this moment, they're working on it for cross-compiling development kit code into iOS or Android applications. It's not that TatukGIS is doing that, but they're now changing the FireMonkey in such a way that their API can be cross-compiled to another system. So it will really natively run. It's not going to be by a virtual machine or whatever, but natively it will run on iOS. Topology layers will be embedded. We said, okay, nice, but we already have, for example, a network tool which uses that as well, and much more. We don't know yet. So if you want to need more information, we have two websites.